question for you, Blake, is when it comes to securities in this NFT space that's going on right now, right? This big NFT bubble. I had the idea, and I'm sure lots of people have had the idea of fractionalizing their really expensive NFTs and selling those shares to other people. Like a perfect example would be Zed Run. I don't know if you heard about that game where basically it's NFT horse racing. And there's some horses that go for $20,000 and even way higher than that. So there is a syndicate that I saw that I think is formed in Europe. And this basically this website / company, they're buying up a bunch of horses and they're getting people to pay them for shares of the horse. So they then pay them back in dividends, depending on how the horse performs or through breeding or whatever. So what are your thoughts on NFT fractalization? Are they securities? Is this just kind of like a gray area right now, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to agree. At least this is a gray area at this point in time, and it depends on how you define a security. And I guess now at this point, I have to mention the Howey Test, which I don't particularly love using for defining whether or not something is a security. Pre-internet age, it made sense to define a security based on the Howey Test. Would I say that the fractionalization of NFTs pass the Howey Test or meet the criteria for a security under the Howey Test? Arguably so. I think the fourth prong of the Howey Test is the hardest one to meet by the efforts of the other. Once an NFT is created, my understanding is it's pretty much there and it exists. There's no labor work being put into it going forward. So I would. I mean, if I was hired, I could argue either way. But I would say that
that's the beauty of being a lawyer, right there. He just called it right there.
If the check clears, but I would say that I think that in my opinion, I don't think NFTs should be considered securities. I think they ought to be treated more like a commodity or even kind of like a currency. But I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, Nick.
Yeah, so I think NFTs are a tricky one. So with the Howey Test, so for those of you that are more beginners in the space, the Howey Test is basically a 4-question test that they used. When was the Howey Test? 1930, something like that. It's been a long time since that, something like that. And it basically says, okay, is there an investment? And you have to answer all 4 questions to be able to call something a security. And here's what it is: it's an investment of money, of common enterprise, with an expectation of profit, and then derive from the efforts of others. So yes. If you can answer all 4 of those, so let's look at it for an NFT. Let's just call it like, so is it an investment of money? Blake, you would agree with me it's an investment of money, correct?
Easy. Yeah, okay. No question there.
For the lay person, how would you describe a common enterprise, Blake?
Multiple people coming together, more than one investor.
Okay. So I'm going to hold off on that one. I'm not going to answer that one yet because I have a question on that one. Expectation of profit. I mean,
it's not done for consumption. I mean, people are not really buying NFTs to you buy a beer to drink. You rent a car for the weekend. But people are buying NFTs with the hopes of selling them for more later.
Yeah. Okay. And then derive from the efforts of others.
So that's where I don't really see it being I don't see it being met. If you invest in a company, you've got people in that company working to improve the company. With an NFT, I mean, there's the efforts of initially making it, but I think going forward, there's not really efforts made to keep it together. You could say that maybe the underlying technology used to keep it up, the programming, the validating or of it would be by the effort of others, but I think that's kind of a stretch.
I also think, and as I look at this, so let's look at the common enterprise part, right? The problem that I have, or I feel like a good attorney like yourself could make the argument that, hey, like if I myself draw something, put it in a digital format, and put it out for sale, is the common enterprise the actual is it the actual exchange that it is being listed on? Or because if that was just me, would that not, I mean, there's nobody else involved at that point, right?
Okay, I see what you're saying. I was thinking more of the common enterprise of simply multiple investors.
Oh, okay. No. That's good. That's good clarity. That's why it's always good to have somebody that understands this a little bit better. The expectation of profit is also one where I feel like you could definitely talk against that. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I make art because I love art. And it's just a part of my being and my soul, right? And so I don't do this for the expectation of profit. I buy things, I consume them, I love them. But then at some point, I don't really love them anymore. Whether that's a day, a week, a month, I cannot tell you, but I love my art. If I end up making money on the backside, you see what I'm saying? Like, ultimately, I feel like there could be a really good argument that says, hey, look, I bought this to enjoy it. I bought this to consume it. I bought this for me. Now, I had no expectation of profit. I just bought it because I thought it was freaking cool. Hey, you know what? It's a cool thing, though. When I didn't think it was cool anymore, I made some money on it.
You make a very good point. Going back to my analogy of drinking a beer, it's something you consume. I have art up here at my place that I didn't purchase for the hopes of making a profit on it. So to switch that over to digital art and NFT, you could argue that it's being used for consumption. I don't think that's exactly what's going on in most people's minds. I think what's fueling the NFT bubble is the ideal profit. But it's a very fair point to say that you can buy art for consumption, and in which case, again, you could then say it's not a security.
So that argument could absolutely be made, though, because I could also say, well, who are you to speculate on my frame of mind, on my mind state as I was purchasing this NFT, right? I mean, that argument could be made, right?